Money is our madness. In the quiet town of Brooksville, where old stone buildings lined the streets and the air smelled of fresh bread from the local bakery, lived a man named Henry Dawson. Henry was known for two things: his remarkable ability to turn a profit and his insatiable hunger for wealth. To him, money wasn't just a means to an end, it was everything. Henry had not always been rich. Born into a poor family, he had learned from an early age that money dictated life's course. He saw his mother struggle to put food on the table, his father work himself into an early grave, and his siblings forced to drop out of school. At 16, Henry made a vow: he would never be poor again. With that vow, Henry embarked on a relentless journey. He started small, selling newspapers, polishing shoes, running errands for local businessmen. With every cent he earned, he saved. He observed, he learned, and he took risks that most wouldn't dare. Soon he started trading goods, buying cheap and selling high. His sharp mind and unwavering determination turned him into one of the wealthiest men in Brooksville. But wealth came at a price. Henry had few friends, and those he did have feared him more than they respected him. His family, once the center of his world, became distant figures. His mother, in her old age, still lived in the same small house, despite his ability to buy her a mansion. "I don't need a palace, Henry," she would say. "I need my son." Henry, however, believed love and comfort came through financial security. He continued expanding his empire, investing in land, banks, and factories. Soon, he controlled most of Brooksville's economy, and people spoke his name in hushed tones. Some admired him, others resented him. Everyone, however, needed him. The arrival of Lucas Ward. One day, a young journalist named Lucas Ward arrived in town. Lucas had a passion for uncovering the truths hidden beneath wealth and power. He had heard of Henry Dawson and wanted to understand the man behind the fortune. He sought an interview, but Henry, suspicious of the media, refused. Lucas was not one to give up easily. He spoke to townspeople, workers, and former associates of Henry. What he uncovered painted a picture of a man who had gained everything yet lost his soul in the process. Stories circulated of how Henry had crushed small businesses, underpaid workers, and driven his competitors to ruin. Determined to confront Henry, Lucas found a way into one of his exclusive social gatherings. With a glass of champagne in hand, he approached the magnate. "Mr. Dawson," Lucas said, "I've been following your journey. It's impressive, but I can't help but wonder what's next." Henry smirked. "More, young man. Always more." "But at what cost?" Lucas challenged. Henry's expression darkened. "What do you mean?" Lucas leaned in. "I've spoken to those you left behind. You have power, but do you have peace? You have riches, but do you have joy?" Henry scoffed. "Money is joy. Money is power. Without it, you're nothing." Lucas studied him. "Or maybe without love and purpose, you're nothing." For the first time in years, Henry felt unsettled. He dismissed Lucas, but the words lingered. A life unraveling. That night, Henry sat in his grand study, surrounded by opulence. His desk was lined with documents of his latest acquisitions, yet they felt hollow. He thought of his mother, now frail and lonely. He thought of old friends long gone. He thought of the workers who slaved away in his factories while he enjoyed luxuries they could never afford. He had money, but did he have a life? Days passed, and Henry found himself haunted by memories of his youth. He visited his mother, but she barely recognized him. He went to the factory, only to see workers avert their gazes, too afraid to meet his eyes. He walked the streets of Brooksville, and instead of admiration, he saw resentment. Then came the day that changed everything: the market crash. A sudden economic downturn wiped out half of Henry's fortune overnight. Stocks plummeted, banks collapsed, and businesses shuttered. For the first time in decades, Henry felt powerless. He turned to his old acquaintances, but they had nothing to offer. He called on investors, but they avoided him. He went to his employees, seeking understanding, but they merely said, "Now you know what it feels like." Desperate, he sought Lucas. "I want to tell my story," Henry admitted. "I need to understand, where did I go wrong?" Lucas agreed to listen, but he didn't offer sympathy. Instead, he made Henry confront his past, his greed, and his mistakes. For months they spoke, and for the first time, Henry saw beyond money. He saw people, relationships, and the true cost of his success. Redemption. Determined to make amends, Henry began rebuilding, not his empire, but his humanity. He increased wages, improved working conditions, and funded scholarships. He reconnected with his family, learning to cherish moments over money. He even wrote his memoir, titled "Money is Our Madness," warning against the very obsession that had consumed him. Years later, Henry was no longer the richest man in Brooksville, but he was for the first time truly wealthy. Lucas Ward published Henry's story, and it became a national bestseller. Not because people loved the tale of a fallen tycoon, but because they saw themselves in it. The madness of money was universal, but so was the power to change. And so Henry Dawson, once blinded by wealth, finally saw what mattered most. And in that, he found the piece he never knew he was missing.